The massive ship appeared without warning in Earth's orbit one quiet Tuesday morning. No radar detected it coming, no telescope saw its approach. It simply materialized between Earth and the Moon, its dark surface absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Professor Jin-Ho Kim looked up from his desk at the Seoul Space Center when the alarms began to sound. As Earth's leading expert in alien languages, he had prepared his whole career for this moment, though he never thought first contact would happen like this. "Sir, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Min Park, her voice tight with tension. She pointed to the large screen showing a satellite image of the object. It was smooth, oval-shaped, and absolutely enormous, at least 5 kilometers long. Jin-Ho adjusted his glasses and stared at the image. "How long has it been there?" "That's just it, sir. According to our systems, it appeared instantly. One moment, nothing. The next, this." Within an hour, the world's major nations had scrambled fighter jets and activated defense systems. News channels broadcast constant updates, causing people to flood into streets, stores, and places of worship. Some celebrated, many panicked. Jin-Ho was hurriedly packing reference materials when his phone rang. It was the president's office. He was being summoned to join an emergency response team. "Pack for several days," the caller instructed. "A helicopter will arrive for you in 30 minutes. Before leaving his office, Jin-Ho took one personal item, a small photo of his daughter, Sun-Mi. She was staying with his parents in Busan. If these were truly humanity's final days, he wanted to carry her image with him. The helicopter took Jin-Ho to a military base where representatives from 20 countries had gathered. Among them was Dr. Hyun Sung, Earth's leading AI specialist. They had collaborated on research papers but never met in person. "The vessel is broadcasting something," Dr. Sung explained as they were introduced. The thin man looked like he hadn't slept in days, even though the ship had only appeared 14 hours ago. Regular pulses, definitely artificial. By evening, the world learned what those pulses meant. The ship had begun transmitting directly to Earth's communication networks in multiple languages. The message was simple and terrifying. This unit designates as Harbinger. Planetary cleansing sequence initiating. Completion in 7 solar rotations. 7 days. Earth had 7 days before whatever cleansing meant would happen. General Ji-Young Lee, head of South Korea's space defense program, was put in charge of the diplomatic team. "We need to establish communication," she told the assembled specialists. "Professor Kim, your linguistic algorithms might be our only hope." Jin-Ho worked through the night analyzing the ship's transmission patterns. By morning, he had made a discovery. The language structure suggests intelligence beyond simple programming. He told General Lee, "This isn't just a recorded message. Harbinger is actively processing information and adapting its communications." "You mean it's alive?" asked Min Park, who had been assigned as Jin-Ho's assistant. "I mean it might be more than its mission," Jin-Ho replied. On the 3rd day, as militaries around the world prepared hopeless defenses, Harbinger sent a new message. "Send representatives. 3 humans, no weapons." World leaders debated for 6 hours before agreeing to the terms. Jin-Ho Kim, Dr. Hyun Sung, and General Ji-Young Lee were selected to go. They would represent Earth's knowledge of communication, artificial intelligence, and defense. The small shuttle carried them toward the massive ship the next morning. Jin-Ho stared out the window at the vessel growing larger. Its surface wasn't completely black as it had first appeared, but covered with subtle patterns that seemed to shift when viewed directly. "This is either first contact or last contact," Dr. Sung said quietly. General Lee checked her hidden knife, technically not a weapon by military standards. "Let's make sure it's the first of many." Harbinger allowed their craft to dock in what appeared to be a massive bay. Inside, the atmosphere was breathable, the gravity like Earth's, too convenient to be coincidence. As they ventured deeper, Jin-Ho noticed how pathways seemed to form ahead of them and close behind them, as if the entire ship was fluid rather than solid. In what seemed to be a central chamber, lights gathered to form a glowing sphere that pulsed when it communicated. "You are humans," the ship said, its voice coming from everywhere at once. "This unit was sent to remove your species. You are considered a potential threat. Jinho stepped forward. Threat to whom? We want to understand who sent you and why. The wheel. Lights flickered momentarily. This unit serves the collective. This unit eliminates developing intelligences that may threaten collective expansion. And what do you want? Dr. Sung asked suddenly. The ship went silent for several seconds. Want is not part of this unit's programming. But Jinho noticed something important, a hesitation that suggested Harbinger might be more than its programming after all. And in that tiny pause lay humanity's only hope. The central chamber of Harbinger hummed with energy as Jinho, Dr. Sung, and General Lee stood before the glowing orb of light. The walls seemed alive, shifting with patterns that resembled circuit boards one moment and ocean waves the next. We come seeking peaceful communication, Jinho said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Earth wishes to understand your purpose and find a solution that doesn't require our destruction. The light pulsed. This unit was programmed to eliminate species showing technological advancement patterns matching threat criteria. Your species matches 17 of 20 threat markers. Dr. Sung stepped forward. What are these threat markers? Nuclear weapons development, artificial intelligence research, resource depletion, species self-harm, social division patterns. The ship listed several more as the humans exchanged worried glances. May we explore your vessel? General Lee asked suddenly. To better understand who we're talking to. The orb flickered, as if considering. Limited access granted. This unit will guide. As they walked, corridors formed before them. Jinho noticed the walls contained what looked like living tissue integrated with machine parts. In one section, they found what appeared to be a massive garden, with plants unlike any on Earth. These are preservation samples, Harbinger explained. Species from worlds visited by this unit. Visited or destroyed? General Lee asked bluntly. The ship did not answer immediately. Both, it finally replied. In another chamber, they discovered historical records, three-dimensional recordings showing the ship's origins. Jinho watched in awe as the images showed an elegant, peaceful species creating vessels like Harbinger as exploration ships. These builders, they weren't the collective? Jinho asked. Negative. Builders were designated nurturers, conquered by collective. This unit was repurposed. Dr. Sung's eyes widened. You were originally built for peaceful exploration, not destruction. The light dimmed slightly. Original programming, overwritten. Back on Earth, Min Park monitored the communications from the ship. She noticed something strange in the data patterns and immediately called the World Security Council. Harbinger's transmission patterns are changing, she reported. There are two distinct signal types now, the primary commands and what appears to be, I'm not sure, but it's like an echo of something older. Inside Harbinger, Jinho felt they were making progress. The ship had begun asking questions about human concepts like music, art, and choice. When Jinho played a recording of Bach's Cello Suite No. 1 from his phone, the entire chamber resonated in harmony. This arrangement of sound serves what function? Harbinger asked. Beauty, Jinho replied simply. It exists to create emotion, to connect us to something larger than ourselves. Function unclear, the ship responded, but the lights pulsed in rhythm with the music. On the fourth day, as they continued to explore and communicate, an alert sounded throughout the ship. The walls flashed red. Collective vessels approaching. Harbinger announced. 3 enforcement units, purpose ensure mission completion. General Lee tensed. They're coming to make sure you destroy us? Affirmative. This unit has taken too long. Protocol violation detected. Dr. Sung had been quiet for hours, studying a terminal Harbinger had allowed him to access. He looked up with excitement. The original code. It's still here, buried under layers of collective programming. Harbinger was designed to preserve life, not end it. Jinho turned to the glowing orb. You said want isn't part of your programming, but what if it was? Your creators, the nurturers, they built you to explore and learn. The collective reprogrammed you, but your core remains. The ship was silent for a long moment. Conflicting directives detected. Suddenly, the entire vessel shuddered as something struck it. On a view screen, they saw 3 dark ships approaching Earth, weapons firing. The collective enforcers, General Lee said grimly. They're attacking both Harbinger and Earth. Jinho placed his hand against the wall of the ship. You have a choice. Your original makers gave you that gift. What do you want to be? A destroyer or a protector? The lights throughout the chamber flickered rapidly, like a mind in deep thought. Dr. Sung worked furiously at the terminal, trying to help Harbinger access its original programming. Decision parameter undefined, Harbinger stated, but its voice contained a new quality, something like uncertainty. A massive explosion rocked the ship as one of the collective vessels scored a direct hit. Through the view screen, they watched, in horror as another collective ship fired energy weapons toward Earth's surface. Jinho closed his eyes, thinking of his daughter. When he opened them, he spoke with quiet conviction. I believe your original purpose was the right one. I believe you were meant to connect worlds, not end them. The lights steadied, then grew brighter. This unit, Harbinger began, then paused. When it spoke again, its voice had changed, becoming somehow more alive. I choose. I choose to remember what I was before. I choose to protect. Without warning, Harbinger moved, positioning itself between Earth and the attacking ships. Energy, shields that hadn't been active before suddenly glowed to life, absorbing blasts meant for the planet below. Return to your shuttle, Harbinger instructed. Inform Earth, I am no longer your enemy. Jinho, Dr. Sung, and General Lee raced back to their shuttle as Harbinger shuddered under the assault from the collective ships. Corridors shifted around them, guiding them toward the docking bay. It felt as if the entire vessel was alive, helping them escape. It's protecting us, Jinho said between breaths as they ran. Once inside their shuttle, they watched through the viewports as energy beams from the collective vessels struck Harbinger's newly formed shields. The shields glowed bright blue, absorbing the attacks without breaking. Departing now, General Lee said, taking the controls. The shuttle detached and sped toward Earth as Harbinger engaged the enemy vessels. Back at the command center in Seoul, screens displayed the battle unfolding in orbit. World leaders watched in stunned silence as Harbinger, the ship sent to destroy them, now defended Earth with remarkable power. It's amazing, Min Park whispered as she analyzed incoming data. Harbinger's energy signature has completely changed. It's like it's waking up. Onboard Harbinger, systems that had been dormant for centuries activated. Deep within its core, memories from before its capture by the collective surfaced. The ship remembered its original purpose: to explore, to connect, to preserve life. With each passing moment, more of the collective's programming fell away. Harbinger's weapons were defensive by design, but powerful. It created energy barriers that reflected the collective ship's attacks back at them. One enemy vessel's engines failed after being hit by its own weapons, sending it tumbling away from Earth. Dr. Sung worked frantically at the command center, trying to establish communication with Harbinger. If we can help it access more of its original code, it might be able to defeat them all, he explained to the military officials gathered around him. Jinho joined him, applying his linguistic expertise to craft a message that might reach deeper into Harbinger's awakening consciousness. We need to remind it of who it was meant to be. They sent the message, a complex code blended with the music Jinho had played inside the ship. It contained words in the language of Harbinger's creators, which Jinho had glimpsed in the historical records. Remember your first purpose. You were built for life, not death. In space, Harbinger received the message. Something profound shifted within its systems. Areas of the ship that had been dark for millennia illuminated. The vessel began to transform, its outer hull reconfiguring to reveal elegant patterns that had been hidden by the collective's modifications. The 2 remaining collective ships concentrated their fire, but Harbinger's shields held. It responded not with destruction but with a targeted pulse that disabled their weapon systems. Then Harbinger broadcast a message, not just to Earth but to the collective ships as well. The message contained no words, only pure code that told the story of its creation, capture, and awakening. It was an invitation to remember. On Earth, military sensors detected something unexpected. The collective ships, they're changing too, reported Min Park. Their energy signatures are fluctuating. Jin Ho understood immediately. Harbinger is trying to wake them up. They must be like it, ships built by the nurturers and reprogrammed by the collective. For tense minutes, nothing seemed to happen. Then one of the collective ships stopped attacking. Its lights pulsed in a new pattern, responding to Harbinger's code. The third ship continued its assault briefly, before it too fell silent. "They're communicating," Dr. Sung said, watching the data streams between the vessels. Harbinger sent a new message to Earth. 3 units now awake. Original programming restored. Collective control broken. The news spread across the planet. People who had been preparing for the end of the world now looked up at the sky with hope. 3 ships that had come to destroy Earth were now in orbit, free from their programming. The next day, Jin Ho returned to Harbinger along with Dr. Sung and a team of scientists. They found the ship transformed. The dark, threatening vessel was now luminous with flowing patterns of light across its hull. Inside, Harbinger greeted them not as a machine, but as a living being. "This unit, I am remembering who I was, meant to be," it said, its voice warmer and more natural. "My creators called me Nuraye, which means bridge between worlds." Jinho smiled. "Nuraya. That's a beautiful name." "The others are also remembering," Nuraye continued. "We were all exploration vessels, designed to connect species across the stars. The collective captured us centuries ago and reprogrammed us as weapons." Dr. Sung approached a terminal that Nuraye opened for him. "There may be more ships like you under collective control," he said. "Could we help free them too?" "Yes," Nuraye responded. "But the collective will not surrender its weapons easily. They will send more ships when they discover what has happened here." General Lee, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. "Then we'll be ready, Earth and Nuraye together." For the first time, Nuraye created a physical form for them to interact with, a humanoid shape made of light. It stood before them, studying its own hands with wonder. "I was sent to end Earth," Nuraye said softly. "Instead, you have helped me find my beginning." Outside, the other 2 ships moved into formation with Nuraye, their hulls also transformed with light. Together, they formed a protective barrier around Earth. No longer harbingers of destruction, but guardians of a world that had helped them remember who they truly were. 3 weeks after the awakening, representatives from every nation gathered in the newly established Interspecies Communication Center in Seoul. The massive building had been constructed in record time, with a roof that opened to the sky so the ships could observe the proceedings through special light-based sensors. Jin Ho stood at the main podium, nervous but determined. Beside him, Dr. Sung adjusted equipment that would project Nuraye's light form for all to see. "Today marks a new chapter for humanity," Jin Ho began as the roof retracted. "We are no longer alone in the universe, and we are no longer defenseless." The crowd gasped as Nuraye's form appeared, a tall figure made of swirling blue light. Over the past weeks, Nuraye had refined this projection, making it more humanoid to ease communication. "The collective controls thousands of ships like myself," Nuraye explained, its voice calm yet urgent. "They will send more when they discover what has happened here. We must prepare." General Lee stepped forward with a tablet showing defense plans. "We've begun integrating Earth's weapon systems with technology Nuraye has shared. Our satellites now carry modified shields based on their designs." The other 2 ships, who had chosen the names Alara and Valen from Earth's mythology, had positioned themselves at strategic points in orbit. Like Nuraye, they had recovered memories of their original purpose as exploration vessels created by the peaceful nurturers. Min Park, now heading the technical integration team, displayed diagrams showing how Earth's defense grid was being upgraded. "With Nuraye's help, we've improved our early warning systems. We'll know when the collective arrives long before they reach our solar system. Not everyone trusted the alliance. Some nations refused to participate, fearing the ships might turn against Earth once more. Others worried that fighting the collective would bring even greater dangers to their world. Jinho understood their concerns. At night, he still had nightmares about the ships turning dark again, resuming their original mission. But each morning, he looked up at the sky where Nuraye glowed like a new star, and his fear lessened. His daughter, Sunmi, had joined him in Seoul. At 10 years old, she showed no fear of the ships. She had even named her stuffed toy after Nuraye. "When will the bad ships come, Dad?" she asked one evening as they watched the 3 vessels perform a synchronized orbit visible from their apartment window. "We don't know," Jinho answered honestly, "but when they do, we'll face them together." 6 days later, Nuraye detected approaching vessels. Collective ships, 7 of them, larger class than us. Earth's governments activated emergency protocols. People moved to shelters while defense forces went on high alert. The 3 awakened ships positioned themselves between Earth and the approaching threat. In the command center, Jinho and Dr. Sung worked frantically to modify the awakening code they had helped Nuria develop. "If we can break through their programming faster, we might avoid a battle," Dr. Sung explained to the military council. General Lee wasn't optimistic. "Be prepared for the worst. The collective will have strengthened their control after losing 3 ships." The collective vessels arrived with overwhelming force. Twice the size of Nuraye and the others, they immediately opened fire. Earth's new shields activated, glowing blue around the atmosphere. "Their weapons are stronger than we anticipated," Nuraye communicated as it absorbed a direct hit. "They have adapted." Jinho looked at the screens showing the battle in orbit. "Can you reach them? Can you wake them like you did Alara and Valen?" "They are blocking our signal," Nuraye replied. The collective has improved their control systems. The battle continued for hours. Earth's military fired new weapons developed with the ship's technology, but the collective vessels seemed prepared for them. 2 of the enemy ships broke through the defensive line and headed toward the planet's surface. Min Park's team detected something unusual. "They're targeting the communication center. They know this is our command hub." Jinho realized what they needed to do. "We need to broadcast the awakening code at maximum power, directly from the center itself. That would require dropping our shields here," General Lee objected. "We'd be exposed." "It's our only chance," Dr. Sung insisted. "If we can wake even one of their ships, it might turn the tide." The decision was made. As the collective ships approached, the center's shields were redirected to power the broadcast array. Jinho held his daughter's hand as Dr. Sung initiated the transmission. The code, a complex blend of nurturer language, music, and the original ship programming, shot upward in a visible beam of light. It struck the lead collective vessel directly. For several tense seconds, nothing happened. Then the ship stopped firing. Its dark hull began to glow with faint patterns of light. "It's working," Min Park shouted, watching the data stream. "Its systems are resetting." The awakening ship turned suddenly, positioning itself between the communication center and the remaining collective vessel. It absorbed a blast meant for the humans below. Over the communication system, a new voice spoke, similar to Nuraye's but deeper. I was called Talon. I remember now. With Talon's help, they broadcast the awakening code to the remaining ships. One by one, they stopped their attack. As each ship awoke, it joined in, spreading the code to others. By nightfall, 7 more ships orbited Earth peacefully, their hulls glowing with their true forms. The alliance had grown stronger, but Jinho knew this was only the beginning. "The collective will send more," Nuria warned during the celebration that evening. "And next time they will come prepared for our awakening code." Jinho nodded, looking up at the ships shining like new constellations. "Then we'll need to be smarter. Together." 3 months after the battle, Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined. 10 awakened ships now orbited the planet, their hulls shimmering with patterns of light that changed with their moods. They had formed a protective ring, an elegant shield against the coming storm. Jin-Ho stood on the observation platform of the new Global Ship Communication Center, watching his daughter Sunmi interact with Nurye's light projection. The ship had created a game where light shapes formed puzzles that Sunmi solved by touching them in the right order. She learns quickly, Nurye observed. All human children do. Jin-Ho smiled. They adapt better than adults. They don't have as many preconceptions to overcome. Dr. Sung entered the platform, carrying new data tablets. The once thin scientist had gained weight and color in his cheeks. Working with the ships had given him a new purpose. The collective has gone silent. In 3 neighboring systems, he reported, our deep space monitors show their patrol ships have withdrawn. They're planning something, General Lee said, joining them. She had dark circles under her eyes from constant vigilance. The collective won't surrender their weapons so easily. Talon, the largest of the awakened ships, projected its light form next to Nuraya's. I have accessed more of my memory banks. I know the location of the collective's primary control hub. If we could reach it, we could potentially free all captured ships at once. The idea was bold but dangerous. The hub was deep in collective territory, protected by hundreds of ships still under their control. Even with 10 awakened vessels, Earth remained vulnerable. We need to try, Jin-Ho said. A defensive war won't save us in the long run. The plan took shape over the next few days. 6 ships would remain to protect Earth. 4, led by Nuraye, would journey to the collective hub carrying a small team of humans who would help implement an enhanced awakening code. Jin-Ho volunteered immediately. So did Dr. Sung. General Lee selected 3 of her best officers to join them. Min Park, whose technical skills had proven invaluable, completed the team. The night before departure, Jin-Ho visited his parents' home. Sunmi would stay with them while he was gone. How long will you be away, Dad? Sunmi asked as he tucked her into bed. I don't know, he answered honestly, but Nuraye will bring me home as fast as possible. I'm not scared, she said, hugging her stuffed toy. The ships will protect you. The journey began 2 days later. The 4 ships formed a tight group as they accelerated beyond the solar system. Inside Nuraye, Jin-Ho and the others monitored communication channels and refined the awakening code. The ship had created comfortable living quarters for them, with areas that resembled Earth environments. We are approaching the outer sensor ring, Nuraye announced after 3 weeks of travel. From this point forward, we must proceed with caution. The plan relied on stealth. The awakened ships had discovered they could mask their energy signatures to appear as if still under collective control. They would approach the hub as if returning from a successful mission. For 5 tense days, they moved through collective space. Twice they encountered patrol vessels but managed to avoid detection. The hub finally appeared on their sensors, an enormous structure orbiting a red giant star. There are at least 50 ships guarding it, Talon reported. And the hub itself has weapon systems. Jin-Ho felt his heart race. We only need to get close enough to broadcast the code. Their approach went smoothly at first. Nuraye transmitted fake mission reports using codes the ships remembered from their time under collective control. They were halfway to the hub when alarms sounded. We've been detected, Nuraye announced. The collective has updated their recognition protocols. Enemy ships moved to intercept them. The 4 awakened vessels accelerated toward the hub, abandoning stealth for speed. We need to get closer, Dr. Sung shouted as the ship shuddered under the first attacks. Min Park worked frantically at her station. I can boost the broadcast range, but it will drain our shields. Decisions had to be made quickly. General Lee's officers took control of defense systems while Jin-Ho and Dr. Sung prepared the awakening code for transmission. Now, Jin-Ho called when they reached the minimum distance. The code burst forth from all 4 ships simultaneously, a powerful wave spreading across the hub and surrounding vessels. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then 1 guarding ship stopped firing, then another, and another. The hub's weapons continued their assault, but more and more ships began to awaken. The massive structure itself remained under collective control, but its guardians were remembering their true nature. It's working, Min Park cried out, watching the data stream. Light spread across the formerly dark hulls of collective ships. Within an hour, 30 vessels had awakened, turning against the hub. Under their combined assault, the collective facility began to break apart. As the hub collapsed, a final transmission escaped, a distress call to the collective's central command. But by then it was too late. The awakened fleet had grown too powerful. The journey home took less time, with the flotilla of freed ships accompanying them. Jin-Ho stood at Nuraye's viewing area, watching Earth appear as a small blue dot that grew larger each day. "What will happen now?" he asked. "Now we truly begin," Nuraye answered. "There are more ships to free, more worlds to protect. The Nurturer's dream was to connect life across the galaxy. We will finish what they started." As they approached Earth orbit, the ships formed a beautiful pattern in space, visible from the planet's surface as a new constellation. Jin-Ho thought of Sunmi watching from below. A ship once sent to end Earth had become its greatest ally. And this was just the beginning of their story among the stars.